I've been playing Prey off and on since it released a couple months ago. The reason that is that I've been having both positive and negative experiences during each play session. The game starts off really strong, introducing a great story, a cool, beautiful looking new world, and fun systems to experiment with, but somewhere along the way it totally lost me. As the game went on, I just didn't find the core stealthy gameplay of Prey to be much fun. However, Prey does seem like the kind of game that many hardcore gamers will absolutely fall in love with. Prey was developed by Arcane Studios and published by Bethesda Softworks. I mean, that's where it was eventually developed, but Prey has had a really weird journey to its release this year. I wanted this review to be mainly about the game instead of how it came to be, so please check out my development history of Prey in 3 minutes video, because it's pretty interesting. You also find that my review video doesn't jump around a lot through the game for those of you who don't want the game spoiled for you. As I feel this game has a lot of potential spoilers, I'm going to try my best to stay away from those. In Prey, you play as Morgan Wu, an astronaut engineer scientist who is teamed up with his or her brother, that's right, you get to choose whether you're male or female, to help with some tests. These tests mainly consist of you trying to do things with your mind. You're not sure why, but there must be a reason that they want you to try to do these strange things. Shortly after the trial of these tests, you quickly find out that you've been lied to about why you've been called upon to help your brother. The conspiracy leads to the knowledge that there are very powerful aliens called the Typhon that want to destroy you, and it's up to you to put the pieces together and make things right. While playing, you spend your time slowly and stealthily walking around the space station with wrench in hand, all the while looking for key cards and passwords to gain entry to other parts of the ship. While trying to gain entry to these other areas, you'll also run into some scary, shadowy looking enemies referred to as the Typhon, and they all want to take over your body, in a very creepy, scary, kind of way. You do your best to take out or avoid these creatures, all the while looting, crafting, and trying to upgrade yourself to be more and more powerful to find your way off this crazy space station called Talos 1. The story in Prey is by far my favorite thing about the game. Prey ended up creating a world that I was very interested in, so much so that I saw the story through to the end and tried to experience every part of it that I could. I felt the need to explore everywhere I could in Talos 1 to see if I could find out more about this weird space station. When I reached the end of the game, I also went on my way to keep reloading my saves so I could see every ending that was available. While I loved getting story clues and unlocking more information about the Typhon as the game went on, I didn't really enjoy playing the actual game. The interesting thing about Prey is it didn't start out that way. The game has an amazing twist at the beginning, and the introduction of your first few abilities, weapons, and environments is really exciting. Your first enemy encounters are even more exciting. Because of this, I find Prey fascinating. How was it able to capture my attention for the first few hours and then totally dump me out of it that quick? I think this is mostly accomplished by the developers cramming everything they could into the game that they could think of. The game has sort of a kitchen sink syndrome. It's an open world, it's non-linear, it's an FPS, and it also has RPG, survival horror, stealth, and resource management mechanics all going on at the same time. It's a mouthful, isn't it? But it's not just the type of game it is, it's also the amount of choice that you have to make throughout the game that I think sort of makes it a detriment. Before Prey was released, they advertised it as a game where you could choose how you wanted to play. I emphasize, you choose. In a lot of instances, this is true. If you want to find a different way into a room instead of using a keycard, you usually have that option within this open world space station. You can also upgrade Morgan in any way you like, when you collect something called neuromods, which enter your brain through your eye, by the way. Blah. When you go to upgrade with the neuromods, you get a gigantic skill tree, so that if you want to become more sneaky or more strong or more alien, that's completely up to you, and it's going to determine how you fight the Typhon going on in the game. In addition to your skills, you choose what chips to put in your suit, what chips to put in your helmet, what weapons to upgrade, and what to use your materials for when crafting. Do I make it so I can carry more loot, or should I upgrade my stealth abilities? Do I upgrade my weapon upgrade capacity, or do I opt for my health? Do I create more ammo, or save my materials for making more neuromods? On paper, this might sound really open-ended and fun with all these choices at your disposal, and for a time, it is actually really cool. But the truth is that everything you do in this game comes with a caveat. That is to say, for everything that popped out at me as a really fun or useful aspect of the game, I feel like there is another that countered it to make it not very fun. This made it so that during the first 4 to 5 hours of the game, I felt great about my upgrade decisions, and I felt like I understood what I was doing. However, as the game unfolded further, it was clear that I had no idea, and it became somewhat frustrating. One of the things I really loved in Prey was the recycling and crafting system in it. You loot stuff, and then you recycle it into usable material, and then you craft that into ammo, weapons, and tools. Imagine turning old wires, banana peels, bags of chips, and whatever else you can find into ammo. That's what you're doing, and it's actually a really cool system. But you also have to watch your resources like a hawk, because they are really limited in the world. Don't make too many bullets, you might need to make another health pack, or don't create that weapon, you might need the materials for ammo for a less powerful gun. I will also say that at times you feel like a slave to the recycler because you won't want to pass up all the junk you find. You'll do double trips just to make sure you recycle everything you can find. This becomes less of a problem as you get further into the game and upgrade your suit's inventory to hold more stuff. That is, if you choose to upgrade your suit. These sort of push-me-pull-you style of decisions also play into the actual upgrading of Morgan. Let's say, for example, you want to spend skill points for Morgan in a way where you emphasize his abilities in weapon usage and upgrading. While this sounds like an easy way through the game, you must also keep in mind that ammo is scarce, and you actually will have to find weapon upgrade kits in the world to upgrade them. You could, of course, create ammo and weapon upgrade kits, but first you have to find the fabrication plans and make sure you have enough things to recycle to create them. Of course, always keeping in mind the world has limited resources and the only thing that respawns are enemies, not loot. In this scenario, it makes it so that you'd have to rely on another one of your disciplines that you put points into. But if you focused on, say, health and weapons, you're not really going to be strong in other areas to take out enemies, and this becomes a problem down the line. On that note about the weapons, can I just say that they don't make sense to me? There is a wrench and a glue gun, which are basically all of your tools. The wrench can be used in tandem with the glue gun to help conserve ammo. You freeze the enemies, hit them with the wrench, and that makes a lot of sense. However, with the other real weapons, you get a handgun and a shotgun for the majority of the game. Didn't they make more ballistics in space? They can harness alien powers, but they're still using old-fashioned shotguns? I don't know, I don't get it. Back to the gameplay. Let's say for another example that once you can use alien abilities, you want to start putting skill points into that. However, just like in any RPG, these abilities use a sort of mana called psi that ticks down as you use it, and it ticks down quick. Then the only way to refill it is to use another item that is picked up around the world, or to find an operator robot that can refill it for you, as nothing in the game regenerates. Not your health, not your suit armor, or your psi power. Nothing. As mentioned, resources are limited, and getting back to that operator might mean you have to run into more enemies, which in turn makes you need to use more psi or rely on another branch of your skill tree to take them out. Ugh. There are a lot of checks and balances in Prey, and the game constantly reminds you of that. The game is already really tense as it is, dealing with the fact that you're really weak and there could be Typhon around any corner, but to layer this micromanagement on top of that, it's just really tedious, annoying, and not fun to deal with. Really, this is a blessing and a curse, because Prey is trying to emulate the freedom of choice that older games used to offer. I think that players who miss this old school style of difficulty and freedom are going to really embrace this game, and more power to them. However, for me, this ends up making the game way tougher than it needs to be, and it makes me feel like my choices in skilling up just weren't correct or weren't important. I'm not really able to play the game the way I want, because I keep getting killed. The real issue, though, is that though it's been said that you can play your way, there is a large emphasis on stealth. As an almost survival horror style game, you find that caution is your best friend throughout it. Personally, I stay away from any stealth game, as I've never found stealthy games to be that fun. From watching the trailers and the fact that this game was supposed to be somewhat based on The Prey from 2006, had me thinking this would be a little bit more of an action game. And while I'm not angry to find out that it isn't an action game, it's hard to come to grips with it being a genre I just don't enjoy playing. The main problem with the game is that it doesn't make stealth fun. When sneaking around, you don't have a lot of options besides just trying to get past everything. It's not like there's a sniper rifle and you can pick out Typhon from a distance. Nope, you just sort of have to hope they don't see you, or you gotta get ready for some close-quarter combat. Another thing I'm a bit disappointed in is the enemy variety at the start of the game. For the first 4 hours of the game, I ran into nothing but mimics and phantoms. Then they sprinkle in a few more enemies as it goes on, which is nice, but the time commitment to see more variety in the enemies is a little absurd. Another sticking point for me is the objective markers. While the HUD and the menus in the game are nicely designed, I can't stand the objective markers. These are meant to take you to your next objective. Whether that's a main quest or a side quest is up to you and can be set in the menu. While they worked great in the first part of the game because you're pretty much in a linear fashion trying to get to the next step that opens up the world, I couldn't understand how they worked once things became more open. Sometimes to reach an objective, you had multiple ways to go and it felt like the game wasn't sure which way you should go to reach it. Instead of pointing you the shortest ways there, it sort of let you pick which way you want to go. Again, a blessing and a curse to being really open-ended. Considering everything in the space station is designed like a metal doctor's office, it's tough to memorize where everything is unless you've been there a lot. Which might actually happen considering the amount of backtracking you will do later in the game based on your objectives. This backtracking tends to lengthen the game and make it feel kind of padded rather than keep the excitement at a high level. I also want to give a special mention to the music in Prey. It was created by Mick Gordon, the man behind the music for the Doom remake from last year. He did an excellent job creating a varied amount of different music tracks that range from 80s synth style to subdued creepy to frantic and frightening. Every track plays really well to the situation you're currently in, especially considering you're in space and the odds are stacked against you. I think it's really masterfully done. I mean, it doesn't get much better than the intro song that plays during your helicopter ride to work. Despite the things that I've mentioned, you have to applaud Arcane for what they did with Prey, because when the game succeeds, it feels great and it's a lot of fun. However, there are a lot of issues for a player like myself that may not want to play the checks and balances game or micromanage every part of my character, and who isn't really into stealth games. Prey has a lot of good stuff in it, like a good story with multiple endings, a beautiful world that can be creepy and surprising, some cool mechanics, and a nice interface. Considering all of this, it's just really tough for me to say that I don't like the game itself all that much. I really do hope that the hardcore out there are enjoying it though. Unfortunately, this just isn't a game for me. Well, that was my review of Prey. Thanks for watching everybody, and I'll see you next time on GGRC. Thanks for watching everybody. Of course, you can also check out all the other episodes of GGRC, or even check out my other show, The Quake Rave, where I play through all kinds of different Quake maps and mods. Enjoy!